couple other things that come up, quite often. People will talk about the difference between a baked in ad and a dynamically inserted ad. Essentially, when you think about baked in, it's like your kind of typical type of ad that would happen, 10 years ago, where there was no dynamic insertion technology. It's you're doing your episode, you're talking about last night's, football game, and then you just start talking about DraftKings. You just go right into the ad. The ad is there in that episode, in the audio, really forever, for as long as you have that episode up, unless you somehow go in there and manually take it out. So early days in the podcast space, that was really great for advertisers because essentially, as I mentioned before, we measure on a 30-day period saying, how many downloads does your show get on an episode within 30 days? Now, if there's a genre that gets a lot of people listening to those episodes past that 30-day point, that becomes really great for the advertiser because you get 10,000 downloads in 30 days. And then by the time you're at 90 days, maybe there's another 4,000. And so the way you can think about that is great value for the advertiser, but there's kind of some downsides to that. Number one, you as a show weren't able to monetize those extra 4,000 downloads. Now, the good news is the advertiser is really happy. They're probably going to come back and, renew with you if they got really good results. But the other downside is for the advertiser, maybe that ad was about the Black Friday sale. And you're now well past that Black Friday, and it makes no sense for that ad to be in your episode anymore. So that's kind of your baked in type of format. Definitely today, there's certainly lots of that still going on. I would say, close to half or more of what's happening out in the industry is still baked in. And then on the flip side, when you think about dynamic ad insertion, some people call it dynamic insertion, DI, or dynamic ad insertion, DAI. Really what that means is, generally speaking, the ads will be recorded separately by the show, by the host. They're inserted into the episodes at certain points. From the listener's perspective, very often they don't even realize that this is something that was recorded separately. It just kind of meshes in with the content. I mean, sometimes there's a delineation between the content and the ad, but the big difference is those ads are only there either for a certain number of downloads or for a certain amount of time. So they can be taken out after 30 days, or once they hit the 10,000, they get removed from the content. And that's kind of like something that's emerged over the last several years. A lot of platforms, have those capabilities to do dynamic ad insertion. The big benefit, I think, from a podcaster's perspective is if you have a large percentage of your downloads on episodes that are older than 30 days, dynamic ad insertion allows you to monetize those. Right. So for example, there's people out there that have true crime shows. They get 10,000 downloads an episode. They do 4 episodes a month. And it might look like, they get 40,000 downloads-ish on those new episodes, but they get 100,000 total. And you're thinking, well, where the heck those other 60,000 come from? They come from all the old episodes that people are finding and listening to. And we work with some shows like, they get 70% of their downloads on their older episodes. So that dynamic insertion technology allows you to take advantage of that and really monetize that entire catalog.
Yeah, that's really good. And you also have to be, again, you have to be very clear about the type of consumption that you're doing and the type of show that you have, because the shows that I have are not those types of shows. Like my show, and at least in terms of the podcasting shows that I have, are not those types of shows. They are of the moment. If I were to listen to a really old show, I mean, if I really liked the people, I'd listen. But for the most part, there's really not that much value.